I think the primary role of a city council member is to represent their constituents and put together legislation and ordinances at the city level that make sense for improving the quality of life in the city for all of the residents of the city. Now, obviously, the council person is going to represent or be focused on the people in their particular district first. That's understandable. That's to be expected. But we have to look at the overall global picture and reputation of Memphis as a city in order for us to be able to attract business. I think one of the things that I bring to the table is that I have done a significant amount of business throughout not just the U.S. but throughout the world. And as a result, I have a good understanding of the various industries that are out there, what we could possibly work to attract. My background in sales and marketing, I'd like to put that to use in trying to attract more of these businesses. I'll gladly work with the mayor, whoever it may be. You know, at the time, if I'm elected to the city council, there's also a mayoral election going on at the same time. If it's Mayor Warden, I'll gladly work with him to try to bring more business to the city. Likewise, if it's someone else, I'll work with them. It doesn't matter to me. The thing is for us to work together to try to really market Memphis as a place people will want to come to. Our situation with our finances will take care of itself if we can find a way to reduce that unemployment rate, because the more we reduce the unemployment rate, that means that property values will start going up. As property values go up, that means the assessments go up. As the assessments go up, that means the property taxes will go up in a way that folks will be fine with paying them, because we're not actually raising the tax rate, we're just raising the assessments. And the assessments will be going up because the values are going up, and generally nobody argues with that. If that's something we can do, I think folks would like to see that happen, and I think the city will continue to grow. It needs to grow. We've been declining over the past several years in terms of our population, and of course it seems as though that the only answer they bring up when they're trying to increase the population is to annex areas. And I don't think annexation is the way to go in terms of the way to grow the tax base of the city. I think the way to grow the tax base of the city is to make the city such an attractive place to be that you create the influx of folks into the city rather than having to go out and capture them. You know, you want to entice them to come to the city rather than having to go out there and capture them.
How will you ensure that the ordinances or resolutions adopted are achieving the desired results? And how often should the resolutions and ordinances adopted be reviewed?
Well, I think there's an old saying we use in business: you can only expect what you inspect. And that means that you have to pay attention to what policies and procedure you have and go back and look at them and see if they're working. And see that they're actually delivering the results you're expecting. You know, one of the things I love about sales and marketing is the fact it's pretty easy to determine results in sales and marketing. You're either selling product or you're not. And if you're not, you better find out why it's not happening, because otherwise you won't be in business very long. Likewise, we need to make sure we're reviewing these policies and procedures on a regular basis to make sure that they're working. No matter what happens, there's always going to be a situation where you have unintended consequences. Red light cameras, for instance, have been pointed out time and time again, where cities have installed them and then deinstalled them. And they deinstalled them because with the red light cameras, everybody was stopping, and what happened? The revenue from traffic tickets went down significantly in some places. And so as a result, they removed the red light cameras. Now, there's a little, I'm not so sure I like that idea, because I like everybody obeying the laws. But they thought that by installing these cameras, there was going to be a windfall of money. And that's what they spent the money on the cameras, because they were told that they would get more money as a result of the cameras. Well, the cameras had the opposite effect. It caused people to really be more careful, which is a good thing. But because their revenues went down, they had projected that extra revenue based on this situation happening. When it didn't happen, then all of a sudden they had some problems. So I think we have to look at everything and make sure we understand what's going to happen, and not take some vendor's word for it that if we, buy their product for the city or implement their system for the city, that suddenly we're going to have a significant increase in revenue. I think we have to be careful to observe and follow through and make sure that's really the fact.
Just a couple more things, and then we'll
Sure.
let you say whatever you'd like. Do you have a funding campaign plan currently in place for your race?
Well, that's a good question, and the answer is no. Let me explain that situation. The decision to enter the race was sudden. I pulled the petition the day before they were due, got my required signatures, and then delivered it the day it was due. And I found out about the fact that I had qualified later in the day when my opponent called me and welcomed me to the race, which I thought was odd. But anyway, because we started late, I have the fact that I was able to retire early was because I did some very good financial planning. I retired at the age of 58. Did some good financial planning, some good investments, and as a result, right now I'm self-funding the campaign, and my wife has also given me a contribution. I have received a few contributions as well, but at this stage, I do not have an overall funding plan. I don't even have a campaign manager, to be truthful. What I do have is I am my own campaign manager. My wife is the treasurer. So this thing, like I said, got started pretty late, and but we're out there working already, and we've got the website up and running, and hopefully some more donations will start pouring in. And we're meeting with various organizations such as yourselves and other organizations that are seeking to find out what the candidates stand for. I don't have the name recognition that my competitor has because I haven't been in the public spotlight for a while. I've been behind the scenes focused on the development of the Memphis Urban Debate League. And so I have name recognition in a certain segment of the population. I don't have it in the overall population. But there are other things that I've done, and I think that's something that comes into bearing as well. I started a career transition network at my church and ran that for 5 years with weekly meetings, helping people with job interviews, practice with helping them rewrite their resumes. I did that for 5 years from 2001 through 2006. A lot of folks went through my program, and a lot of folks were able to find jobs as a result, and you can see some of their comments and their support on my website as well. I also worked with the Ryan White Transitional Grant Area. I was co-chair of the Ryan White Transitional Grant Area Planning Council in its first year of operation. I was appointed to the council by, at that time, County Mayor Wharton, and I was the co-chair for the first year of that, helping to get that program off to a start. And as a result, that program, by the way, focuses on making sure that federal funds that the city receives to aid folks who are suffering from HIV/AIDS is properly spent and allocated. And that's one of the things we oversaw. And as a result, I know a lot of folks in that community, and they know me as well for the work that I did in helping that program get going. So I have a lot of different constituencies out there, and I'm very active in my church and in my church charities as well, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, we want to thank you for coming, and if you want to say anything to us or the endorsement committee, this is your 30-second elevator to say whatever you'd like to us.
Well, I'd like to say that I look forward to working with Stanford children regardless of whether or not they decide to endorse my candidacy. If I am fortunate enough to win the election, then you'll be able to count on having a good supporter for Memphis education in the city council. If I don't, I'll still be working, doing what I can to continue to expand and grow the Memphis Urban Debate League. That, by the way, we're going into 25 schools this year, and we're real proud of that. We've added Central High School now and Cordova High School as well, so we're pleased that we're continuing to grow our program. So I will continue to be active in education regardless of the outcome, but I would certainly appreciate your support, And if there's financial support you can provide, I know down the